My bema munyina ha ma munyina kwa basonko e de aba mass television so ene eye ya woda eye August boss mani da toso eduonu nson e wa fempinu ne eduonu nsia mebra so se oh my god mu ansem osemufo nsaka na waso ne sokroje ne ye de besomo se rapram to breakfast ye bo hye nso se kase ebo etwegu e we social media handles ni nyina no eye mass GATV kwa ye wo social media handles ni nyina obetimi akọ no wa like no wa share na do adwentwe so egu omrepam no yabekenkan ni nyina ede ama kama na na wie ejumeko bia daroma ene wo boy echido mama ye de kasebo no abesomma no eye City Base Properties Ghana Limited City Base ejumeko awoton sase ehun krata sem nyina eye Krojin City Base ene mekanfo ede ama hwehwo mo chi akwan ewo nungu abara won scan guest house ene din hwenim saso ene wo won krabata baako ewo afienya tobu tudu ho a obehu atran no wo kama na so akọjo asase saso ena na asen koma First Choice Media College se woni so ade hunu science and training mapa ewo my Ghana media school akope eni metimi akanfo ede ama bibibia ekanfo ebo ama media adwuma no ekọ nanim no de fa abanekọ no nkọje ntiti hwehwe First Choice echi akwan ewo nungwa barrier woni Mass TV woni e ne wodan krumani to bana watine fi wadidi nu faneko no so nkọje ntiti mapa no so enye adwuma saso ena bulk food and groceries se bibibia yedi cocoa ayeno obenye bi edi ama se dark chocolate anase ope cocoa powder oh my god ye cocoa kan ayada dani asono so krojin se ne be a oso wopom din betimegina ne naso dia bulk food and groceries ene mekanfo edi ama enyuma ko emiensa da roma no wabo machidoma ene wie mede kasebo no ebesomo na nsema hudo bi ebepie mo kasebo no bi ene se Ghana yema mpeni His Excellency John Dramani Mahama sabrede wati abedweko be enuma omo behwe aboa ama boko ana mentimi wase mre bia etwe course ewo no obetimi ade abo ho brana se obetena ase ahwekọ obema boko mpuntu so etimi akonanim saso ena Ghana yema mpeni abede kira wo tu na ketem akopiemu ewo Kigali no ewo Rwanda mam no woni Ghana de sha wo Rwanda manim atena se edi nkomo ahwekọ obefa so adwendwene amemmu eni sikasem ho hyehyɛ ewo manim saso ena enra penyi kwanchefo a woda eye Office of the Special Prosecutor no onimonyamfo Kasie ejabenso enra da edensem bi etudwa yede mu amadebo ebro saso ena osunu kokoroko amanyuko NPP Omasha simpenifo hudo okofa nomination forms no dodo na afilewia wo file won force eno nam so ama dodo na kasa so obedi obebia ahwese nkabom ni odo a wo NPP amanyuko nim no ebetimi adadi wani nsema hudo bi ena don hwentem me ba be kinkan ede ama se wi apram to breka se bo na me a bede nsem no beso midin ede amansan chi ame Boasiako me dane me hotel na me ba me hyensem na se de ama Aba fe yenhyensem na se emfama mudia ni efiase efi Ghana mampini atena yemu eye Ghana fo nyina nimsem se Saudi wani echemu ewo etifido mantemu aboko ene ne mantwea be na nsentem be mfie kakra twam ni na ohonyo kura eno nam so ema Ghana mampini eye nhihya hudododo na eno no otu asante hene otumfo se tutu ene nipa binum eka ho ana won kotena ase ahwekwa obepenso ano ama basabasa ye no wetimi wakamia ekoso ewo boko ene ne mpotem na mpempo ye kase di ama ne bo abetodwa echese sabrede okopiem ewo boko a ade adwobre bibibia ekodin ewo ho eno nam so ewo enra abankese mu Ghana mampini apa abedweku a titenani a obedi abedweku nanim eye onimonyamfo Dr. Kasie Latofos no no ene bedi sa abedweku a wo ye numi a sabre Ghana mampini apa sika sombo eye 1 billion Ghana cedis a wo de behwe abo eye boko fapem amane etimegina ne naso ebi ene se wo behwe esiesie wona kwantempon school hu semayaresa bia ne niam ebeboa ama boko ma ne tumetumpon no ebetimi aya mom na boa ama eye odo etima hyase adedi ewo samia ye ho.
Mediation report, I announced that it was time for the guns to be silenced in Boko, and that the issue of Boko would be resolved through the lawful process, upholding our constitution and our laws, and that any other outstanding issues can be handled traditionally. There was quite an eruption since then, and I want to use this opportunity to commend the security services for remaining firm and taking action to make sure that Boko becomes safe and secure again so that people can go about their normal duties. It's taking quite some time, but I'm happy to receive the reports that Boko is safer, is quieter. We don't hear gunshots again at night. The kind of murders that took place with impunity have abated. And at the time that I received the report, I announced the Boko Revitalization Fund to be dispersed by a committee chaired by the finance minister. The allocation for the Boko Revitalization Fund has been made, and it is 1 billion Ghana cedis. And so now, with safety and security prevailing in Boko and surrounding areas, this is the time to begin implementation of the Revitalization Fund. We want Boko to recapture its former glory as a major commercial center in Ghana. As a result of the conflict, we were not able to post national service people to the area. We were not able to post medical personnel to the area. Indeed, there were very important projects taking place there, like the Tamni Dam. One employee of the company was killed, and so the contractor had to pull out. And so that dam that will benefit 4 districts in Boko has come to a standstill. But I'm happy that now we have the opportunity to go back and continue the development so that the people of the area would benefit from all the projects that we've been doing, so that Boko will get its fair share of the national cake. So today we've gathered to inaugurate the committee that will be steering the Revitalization Fund. It will go to provision of infrastructure and any other areas that the committee deems fit. And we expect that as many districts within the Boko area will benefit from the Revitalization Fund. I have absolute confidence in the membership of the committee, and I know that they would handle this assignment with the usual integrity and efficiency that they have shown in their public service over the years.
Shumaima ye to ya pram to work as bonu so e dia mo ani e dia ni e chemu e wo Ghana mampani abede chire atena ye e Ghana fo nyina nim semsebe na numienu nie obu na ketem akopiemu e wo Kigali no e wo e Rwanda manim na wabro kopiemu ho ne hyemu de bi e course Ghana mampani abede chire akokasa wo no achi e na wo kopiemu e ne Ghana de hia wo Rwanda etena se ebisebisa won se meniema wo bepe se aban ebe ya mo na omo so editu nanim na wabra wogina apaso edenisem etudwa no wache se so hwe NDC aban ebaye ebefa Ghana ya benwe tosumienu a omoban na niema mu odin ye pa no nam so ema wo fato won so wo behwede oba bia se wo beboa ama o my Ghana sikasem etumegina ne naso na nya pasaso ene ba ni mpuntunjuma hudo bi tise school ayaresa bia omobotan ni so omobehwe ama obi bia wo ye Ghana ni di hye so ebetimi enya so mfaso enye se bi obi wo ha owo ni sika deda ntino omonye bi ema ne so sa nipa no so se da bi omobotan ni so mbe hye a ebebo Ghana ni di hye bia ama no so enya so mfaso.
Every Ghanaian, no matter where they live. So this is so important for us that I want to urge all of you, if you haven't done so, please register with our embassies. We need to know where you are. Not only because there'll be trouble, but just for us to know. You know, recently we had a bit of a problem in South Africa. We went to our database. We saw a certain number. We started planning. And, you know, it didn't work. Because the number was about 4 times what we had seen. If we had known that, then people didn't have to wait in difficult situations. At least we could have done the best we could. So please, it's very, very important that we know where you are. We are not trying to, you know, don't want to use the word mafia, but we are not trying to spy on you. No, that's not it. But we just need to know where our citizens are. So this is important for us because the diaspora is very important, regardless where you are. And Ghanaians, you know, we like to travel, don't we? So we are everywhere, and that's okay. But we need to know, so that for anything that we need, we all know the situation we inherited as a government. But you see, when you inherit, it's the good, the bad, the ugly, everything is all part of it. So you look at what is working, you look at what is not working, you look again at your strategies, and you find ways of fine-tuning them to ensure that things work even better. So we have decided that regardless the situation, we will focus more on building the nation from the ground up, paying more attention to those who are at the base of the pyramid. Not that those at the top don't matter, but we believe very much by the philosophy that guides us that it's about the bulk of the people. It's about doing things that affect all of us. So I know you are aware, for example, that we are constructing roads. Are you aware? You know that. When a road is well constructed, it is not just about removing an inconvenience. It affects everything. Yes, it means you can travel faster, but where are you going? Assuming you are sick and you have to be taken to a hospital, and the road is bad. And illness doesn't know particulars. It knows the situation of the person who is in it. So if it's a bridge you are building, because there were no bridges, and the chaloupe took off at certain times, and you got there when the chaloupe had left, or the time had elapsed, it means you have to sleep in your car or somewhere overnight. You know, so we are doing these things because they affect all of us. And that is how the development begins. You have to look first at the infrastructure. You know, when you live in a country where they have gone beyond that curve, you may not quite appreciate it. But I think we all come from Ghana, don't we? And we have not forgotten where we came from. Have we forgotten? So we know our reality a little bit more and why we are doing. So in terms of health, for example, we are pushing up the primary health care. That's very important for us. You know, every so often, are there doctors among you? Or people in the health? Okay, it doesn't matter. But every so often, the doctors will say, oh, if you came earlier, you know. But sometimes we don't know that we should have come earlier because nobody told us. Okay, so we are encouraging the establishment of the chief's compounds, district hospital, the polytechnics, clinics rather, to ensure that at least you can get the primary health care. Just passing by to see your blood sugar or blood, whatever, the fundamental issues you need to be paying attention to is important for us. So a very, very important area of the primary health care is preventive health, healthy living. So we can try to prevent as many of them as we can. There are some that you can do everything you can, but still the issue will arise. But at least we can be a bit more informed about what we need to do. I've heard of the Mahama Cares program, and we are looking at chronic illnesses. You know, sometimes they create such a burden on the families, and that in itself.
I tell you from to Kasie bonus so de ni HMU ewo Office of the Special Prosecutor. Na sabre Kasie de penyina woda no onumunyamfo Kasie Ejaben eno awone nsem anaso wone ansentwefo di nkomo na no ene wo che se hwe OSP ni dwumede a wodi ewo maiga no mu a eda ne nsronkonkra ade a wate ne ho ye ankorenkra nya fei ena ne gina esi be obesi aban ede na no betutum anase da be osesa ne ma ne de a wode ne ho na emom wa kire se braso se OSP ni maye tosumio no sisi se de waba obedi djuma kata hyehyɛ pra ni dwuruma ekoso ewo mpanifo bi afa no sabe ka se de omu be fiase edi djuma na nya de omu betena ase ahwɛ ama obi ehunu hroma na ase huhu bia ehunu hroma ewo my Ghana mu.
Supreme Court decision should be celebrated. It has set matters clear as to the functions and operations of the OSP and the coexistent relationship between the Attorney General and the OSP. It has greatly strengthened the fight against corruption, and it is upon the decision of the Supreme Court that I declare a rebirth of the OSP. We will show no fear or favor. We will remain resolute in the lawful discharge of our mandate. We will rigorously investigate cases. We will vigorously prosecute cases where the evidence indicates wrongdoing. We will actively recover assets. We will take all necessary steps to prevent corruption. This is our mandate. Recognizing that the fight against corruption will persistently be heckled by the pushback of corrupt actors, we have championed and we will continue to champion that the powers of anti-corruption agencies should be enlarged and enhanced, especially in respect of two main indices. First, global anti-corruption best practices indicate that broad-based lifestyle audit, non-conviction-based asset recovery represents the fairest and optimal method of frontally addressing corruption and unexplained wealth. Therefore, we have championed and will continue to champion that institutions like the OSP and the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, should be invested with express and effective lifestyle audit, non-conviction-based asset recovery powers to assure that persons show legitimate sources of income sufficient to justify their ownership of property. Therefore, where a person's resources far outstrip his legitimate income, the unexplained portion should be liable to confiscation. This will also be a critical tool to detect fraud and undeclared income for tax purposes. Added to this, conviction after criminal proceedings should not be a condition precedent for asset recovery. Civil proceedings should suffice. Second, we have championed and we will continue to champion the institution of a reverse onus clause of a presumption of corruption tied to lifestyle audit. Therefore, where a person is in possession of property disproportionate to his known legitimate sources of income, he should be deemed to have obtained it through corrupt means unless he proves the contrary. This proposed unexplained wealth mechanism is not a shortcut around justice or a license for arbitrary confiscation. On the contrary, once the appropriate legal threshold is established before a civil court, unreconcilable assets not traced to legitimate sources of income should be liable to confiscation. Even though our investigative and prosecutorial work was gravely hampered after 15 April, we have not been indolent. We have reviewed all cases under investigation and at trial. In some cases, we have uncovered more evidence of wrongdoing. In other cases, we have identified more suspects. We are going to refile some of the pending major cases based on our discoveries.
For an Kasie Ejaben atena wabra wade ne nsem etuja no wache se wona wona ma be funtintan fidie ni so na abrebia waka se OSP bai o mahu dwuma bia wodi ewo my Ghana mu no o se nye no kreda Ghana fon hwe na sansem no won to go fi se o hwe afimpinu ne adunu mo mo bo adwuma pa nanso enfumso we wo bia ho enfumso kakra mo ye enti na mpanifo bi se yen hwe na OSP dibren anase OSP atena no kra yengu mfi honom se ne be a ebetimi abo ama sa sika na se kwan aban na efa so ese niema bi won so no obetim dey bibi foforo e wo my Ghana mu.
To those who hold the view that the OSP has achieved nothing and that it should be scrapped, your claims are testable. To those who say the OSP is ineffective, your claims are testable. You are respectfully invited to check the statistics of our performance and benchmark them against your preferred institution, taking into account mandate, year of establishment, resources, complexity of cases, and legal constraints. If you do this dispassionately, it would occur to you that the OSP has performed creditably. Our performance is neither shrouded in secrecy nor obscurity. We pride ourselves with openness. As at 31 December 2025, the OSP was conducting the prosecution of 33 persons and had 79 cases at full investigation stage and 161 other cases at the preliminary investigation level. The OSP had secured 7 convictions at the same time through court-sanctioned plea bargains. The performance ledger transcends convictions and cases under investigation. Our mandate is not only in respect of investigations and prosecutions, it includes the recovery of assets and taking steps to prevent corruption. And by December 2025, the OSP had secured financial recoveries including 8.5 million cedis and $2 million, in addition to substantial movable and immovable assets in ongoing proceedings. The OSP has saved the nation billions of dollars in its work in the assessment of the risk of corruption, especially in relation to our natural resources and the potential loss of sovereignty over same, and our seaports. The OSP also safeguarded Tema Oil Refinery from being pawned off, and it is now in operation after years of inactivity. This was the OSP's work. The OSP's intervention in the customs sector has led to a reimagination and institution of a more robust auction of items system and a huge reduction in the often abused customs advance ruling regime in aid of the recouping of more revenue. The OSP's shake-up of the government payroll system has saved the nation a little over 100 million cedis so far. The OSP has saved the nation more than 20-fold the total amount of money released to its census establishment, and it has thereby fully paid for and far above the resources invested in it. No person, whether in the public or private space, now engages in corruption lightly. This is because such acts have become costly as a result of the operations of the OSP. These are measurable outcomes. These are verifiable outcomes. Criticism is legitimate. Scrutiny is necessary. However, they must be based on facts and not on baseless dismissiveness. The performance of the OSP should not be measured by political applause, social media volume, the preferences of persons affected by its work, or the preferences of those who dislike the institution and its officers out of sheer ill will. It should be gauged by investigations undertaken, persons prosecuted, assets recovered, losses prevented, systems corrected, public funds saved, and steps taken to prevent corruption. So when next it is said that the OSP has not performed, the answer is straightforward. Check the statistics and benchmark them against your preferred alternative. That is to say, no matter how much you disapprove of the DICA, acknowledge its notable speed and swiftness.
Adesumai ma yeguso gina OSP ni nsamanu a wodi tudwa ene wo chese se wo hwe OSP ni dwumadi ani ni mudru a na wo Omai Ghana mu anase wo Omai mu wodi a ono ni dwumadi a wodi nyina no aban emfa ni nwurewrem ono pe ene atenaye a wotimi ba ofie wo hu se hwehwemu bi anase wo hu se bibi nkoyi a obetimi ba ofie aben hwehwemu afa ho etimi afrizi bank account ni niam ahodo na wa chese de na nipa binum e ka se Ghana man pani hwe na OSP na atenaye no mungu no kra emfi ho no osi de ntom yes ani mani nyina ne se eye etitiru fo binum anase skafo a binum eye aba ban nipa binom a wodi nneɛma ensem fata na so wɔyɛ nneɛma bi ensem fata na wakatakata so ɛwɔ sumase ɛsan sɛ OSP ɛbɛyɛ hu hwehwɛmu nti ɛna na abrɛ nyina no ɔmo ma anasa abrɛ nya ɔmo dwumedi ɔmo di no ɔmo yɛ na ɔmo ani tuatu ɔmo ati kɔ ɔmo hwɛ sɛ obi ba na wakyɛ sɛ saa nkrɔfo no nyinaa ɛna akyire wɔtwerɛ petition kɔto Ghana mampani anim sɛ OSP kro ɔmo no ho bɔde no nti kɛbɛ a Ghana mampani engu ne nanso Ghana mampani tena se din a wo hu sɛ ogu saa tena na emu ani nti ɛnya ade a wɔde na so ɛma saa nkrɔfo no nya wakyɛ sɛ ɔmo be fi ase di dwuma so yie pa ɛwɔ my Ghana mu
of a sustained and coordinated effort to strangle the OSP and to shut it down. If the attacks on the OSP were orchestrated only by persons who are subjects of investigations and their associates, one may fairly dismiss them merely as corruption fighting back. Sadly, the most bloodletting attacks have emanated from official action by some public officers. We have seen attempts to abolish the OSP by a withdrawn private members' bill in Parliament, based on contrived charges of lack of performance without any evidence and in the face of publicly available proof of stellar performance by the office in its very short period of existence. We have also witnessed the actions of some public officers whose duty it is to protect the OSP and guardrail its work through collaboration and cooperation, mount spirited attacks on the office intended to extinguish its powers and reduce it in the estimation of the public and to unfairly pass it off as moribund and ineffective. Perhaps no other public institution has endured such debasement in the history of our republic. It is always the OSP. We admit that we are not above criticism, so we have taken the trouble to do a frank introspection as to whether these attacks, especially by public officers, intended to shut down the office or to extinguish its powers, have reasonable basis. We acknowledge that we have made mistakes. We do not claim to be a perfect institution. However, these mistakes are commonplace, and none of them is near enough basis for some public officers to actively run down the office and mount official challenges to its existence by seeking its collapse or removing its essential powers. And even where we have made mistakes, we have endeavored to take curative action to set matters on a proper course. For us, this is the mark of a viable public office. Indeed, the truism is that no human agency may claim perfection, and certainly not a public institution in this republic. Therefore, if the basis of collapsing a public agency is that the entity in question committed common mistakes in the ordinary course of its work, then every public institution in Ghana should immediately be shut down. That is the absurd result of the official attacks against the OSP. It is always the OSP. Our introspection leads us to conclude, rather startlingly, but guardedly so, that the coordinated attacks against the OSP to shut it down, or at least render it ineffectual, are largely traceable to what the office stands for and its powers and functions, especially its prosecutorial function, and even more so, its independent power of investigation, the capacity to independently decide who to investigate and what cases to investigate within its mandate. These functions and powers of the OSP represent such a specter of discomfort among some public officers that they would rather see the office abolished. It is always the OSP. On another score, I state with extreme reluctance that some of the attacks intended at abolishing the OSP or dimming its light stem from personal dislike against the occupant of the seat of the special prosecutor and the operational directors. The evidence has not shown that these unliked persons, including me, engage in obnoxious or untoward conduct. On the contrary, it is a case of simply a preference for other persons to me and the operational directors. To drive down a public institution set up to fight corruption and to actively call for its abolition out of personal dislike for the principal office holders, not arising from any unbecoming conduct but a preference for other persons to occupy such positions, is the antithesis of development. It is always the OSP. This is no way of building a nation. Through it all, the office has held high and been irrepressible, and today
Arishmarama because you are from to Recassia Bonu and Nigusa, who share 27 so at the Moa, near the knee HMU, our Rashabijafie. Now do any HMU, Dom Kumano, and Ra friends and 12 share more than Sembi to Ja, and no Nipa would now on a name, Ekasa, am Rashabijani, Edma Wale, Abaton Pesua, so Dr. Mahama Abdul Kabiru, Wakasa Achese, at the Kudepoti, Nam so Emma, a Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagben, Efre Putuprunshia Musem Rashabija for one, Emran Wantana say, and Ginger Niemabia, a was washing what 2-1 and more in Menimiano, a Camille says, Annie Maninano, Dom Cassiano Ama, a bread drona, a call, Nano and watches a social moi, a Niema Wudo Bebre now, wha, a wasn't Quatana say, Edin Hujuma, a bit is a National Petroleum Authority Bureau, and on Nanka, a Kanyama Winyapa, now a wasn't quashen, and so watches a Nenum and Putuprunshia moi, Speaker Ferno, Dom Cassia Rashabija, I'm a mudu drona, Equan on watches say, a mube or hamu a bupe, a diosia enum dear, or Mamma Nina qua and more, and Mom Jumede and to Ponuechi, Wakasa de Atuja chess, and who be here, some paper num Rashabija for. Omujumede omudi e ho no mbeke kom ho imagine sie ne mra bi e woso wo hwe ne wo hyehye ne ntem no wotimi ye mane fi wo na eboa e ma oman ne ye yo so timi fa ne ntuma pefra.
Today is the third day of the 5 days that we've been recalled to sit. Effectively, we have wasted about 75% of the time. And I'm seeing a situation where the government wants us to, rush through a single day of everything. And I think that the president should get serious. The leader of government business should get serious. The minister should get serious. They cannot abrupt our recess. The minority who is not even supposed to be prosecuting government business, we are here in our numbers to support the government, to do the government business. Yet still, the government is at large.
The Bank of Ghana bill is part of the essential businesses to be prosecuted, and it's here. My respected Deputy Whip, you should be telling this House why we are not taking this business. You should be telling this House, other than just saying we walk in less than 2 minutes and we should adjourn. Under 24-hour economy.
We call the House to come and sit and work, and we are working. So why are they complaining? There is a series of committees, meetings, and other things concerning the vetting of the 2 ministers and then the judges. What they should know is if we don't recall this House and they vet the ministers, there will be nobody to approve them to go back to their sector ministries to work.
Arishmarama my 27 so e dia ma odia na sabre de ni e kiremu e wo so no kokoko amanyoko ye Ghana fo nyina nimsem se sabre ka sei de e ya de NPP amanyoko no wo bo ho eyi mpanifo ahodo e de amanyoko no no ahwe aboa e ma afempinu na edunu nwatwe o mani so ade hu no mo no e betimi abamu na mpempre ye ka sei de dipadodo na wakofa nomination forms ahodo no dodo na afile a wo mu e kire se ampa o metutum se NPP amanyoko no watimi wakame e wo mu mentim ho ase e wo manu nti obi a obekasa bia e kire se ne botae anaso mu nyina beka bom se efunkrom ba na o mahwe amantokura ahodo adida NPP amanyoko no o metuetue ni nya na o mamodo etimi adadi wa amanyoko nim.
For all of us and for our party is that yes, we may be down, but we are not out.
Solid. I see my other colleagues who want to continue to become first national vice. That's okay, but I understand that I have a message they don't have. Our party wants something that I would deliver. Most of them, they have been in the party, but this problem has remained.
We want to strengthen the research base of our party, expand training opportunities for our party communications teams, expand opportunities for training for the young people of our party, the ideological training that our young people need.
The time has come that we rebuild the party from a ground all the way to top and ensure that the NPP becomes once more the most thriving political tradition in this country.
Adesumai Maya twaye nsem so e de amo asabre dan ni akọ eye Catholic Bishop Conference omudwumedi omudi e wo my Ghana mu na omo de nsem atojo omo chese impepra ye ka say de so bepie mu e wo my Ghana mu na hwe niema basa hodo ebi wo ha ensem fata e koso e wo Yesu apon hodo ni mechara senior high schools ahodo ni mo ma chese ha dwene ye pa senior na sentem mo fra ne suban ene wo su bia wo dan edi no emmoa emma de so nsem emfa ne tuma from matches ni nyina eye GES asabre ka say omeyi eye council rep edema eye GES and also mo representative edema Ghana Education Service ye omeyi na fi ho e na ama sabre sa eniema basa hodo no ekoso ewo school pomu na nipa wode sansem we etudwa eye most reverend eye Matthew Jemfi wode sansem we etudwa wa bra na wone eye Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference jumede wode hyeso na wode nsemi etudwa ewo eye abedweku a ehwe ahini amamre ene asoma hodo edumedie so ewo mrahye bedwefie na wode sansem we etudwa.
We used to be represented on the Ghana Education Service Council because of the number of schools and our involvement in education. For some reason, they eliminated us, as if we don't exist, as if we have done nothing for education, as if everything is the state. So where decisions are made on education, we who contributed towards education are not there. And so recently you see we are talking about indiscipline in schools, as if we do not know why there is indiscipline. We know it. If the one whose call is to instill discipline and morality into people, if even they don't do it imperfectly, is eliminated and is not given the right to do this, then we ask why there is indiscipline and immorality in the schools. Currently, we know we have begun around 5,453 basic schools, many of which the government also helps and pays salaries, etc. We have 82 senior high schools. We have 41 TVET institutions, 4 special schools addressing special needs, 13 colleges of education began by us, now assisted by the state. We have 10 other tertiary institutions, including nursing training colleges. We have 1 university and 1 university college. So this makes us, I believe strongly, the second largest provider of formal education in Ghana.
Catholic Bishop Conference on Moon Sema, Wadiko Tuja, Ewa Mrasibija Bijokua, Washe, Ahinie, any Asuma Hudo, Eye Yohun Semso, and what I say. Idea Bakwa Hajane, Ewa, my Ghana mu, Eye illegal mine, Becan se Galamse, or social coin afaso, I say is who and Sua Hudo quite breto, any of body any pa Hudo, or the Dumie, Ewa, my moi. O shares have been Nipe Binuma Mudia Beto Monte, I bimpo, Eye, Abamu Nipe Binuma, what do Quadra Hudo air bomb no, or Sani Manning. nyina ha adwene yepa nanso ye hwemu a ɛwɔ se sankrofo no ne boa ɛhwema yetu galamsey no ase ɛwɔ my Ghana mu ɔde ne nsɛm ɛba ne wie ɛna wɔsan so ɛkyerɛ sɛ wɔbɛsrɛ sɛ enimani ampanifo mpɛ kwan bia so ɔbɛboa ama galamsey ɛgye nsɛm ɛwɔ my Ghana mu no ɛto obetimi atwa.
Illegal mining still ongoing, unfortunately, sadly, dangerously. Youth unemployment, environmental degradation, and we call for responsible and decisive action. We are destroying God's creation. And who is doing it? We know chiefs, which you represent, some of them are involved. As I'm speaking, this morning, we have a letter from an MP who is fighting with some MC over Galamsey. And he has written the letter to the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, who he believes we talk about these matters. So he's giving us these things. So there are clear evidences that chiefs, politicians, some members of parliament, some MCs, some of these involved in this. And now you do not know, it appears that is even formalized as a way of giving employment to people. But if we really do the cost-benefit analysis, you see we are on the losing side greatly. And our chiefs and our members of parliament, etc., can do something. But if we who are supposed to protect are the ones who are doing it, then may God bless us.
Yaguswe jina Catholic Bishop Conference since ma wodi tu dwane no echi wo kire se ebra so se wo besa ba ne sabano enhwe se asoma hodo e wo my Ghana mu no omuye ye ho nsem omumfa nkofore emma eye basabasa emma anase wonfa nye niema ebewie echi no my Ghana ya somdwe ne yenkabom ento ape no okasa no wo kire se ohwe anano da niema basabasa hodo bi e koso e wasoma mienu ntem eno ne yenuanom Kristofo ene yenuanom Mozambique nsem abrante bi a nsem ba monte so na ewie echi no ba akufa na chihwi ni sum no wa kire se sa niema no kasetia enya de obetena asoso sa niema no so nti aba no hwe se asoma hodo wo my Ghana mu nyina no nsem ne niema mu be kan emoa ema nkabom ne odo enadi e wo my mu.
Let's say that the freedom of religion, therefore religions can do whatever they want. No. It is not. They are supposed to follow the state law. So don't treat certain matters as religion. Let me give you a very typical example of what happened recently. When somebody says, if somebody says this, go and kill him. Now, don't consider that as a religious matter. You should arrest the person. It's clear it's an individual act, not a religious act. And you should not clothe it as religious and think that there is conflict between Muslims and Christians. It is not a conflict between Muslims and Christians. It's a criminal act committed by an individual, an insightful message being given by a wicked person who wants to create confusion in the country. And it should be treated as such. And should not be treated any other way like the way they did it. I think that was a wrong way of dealing with it. And that caution that I'm bringing to our attention. This is religion. Please, we have a lot of history and we know what we talk about when we say this thing. We read the details, the fine details, and we see what is going, what we are doing, and therefore where it is going to lead us. Why? We have seen it before. We have done it before. We have experienced the benefits and the negative sides of it before. Beware of religion.
Adishima Mamika was a rapper to breakfast your boy and when you go so she twice and 7 so Ediamoa. Na ye any HMU was Zoom Lion Ghana Limited or Martina ye. Ben and Saint Temu PM or my Ghana moi. A honey day won some air DBO BBA air can wasem no and a buying up a Zoom Lion Ghana Limited. Ama what one rant ye good montiswa. War pro air my Ghana mantem doing Senumina. And in our war boss press a hoodwa air me hoodwa and pay Pinipako PM ho a bit. Says bio public toilets ahodo ene edwam ni ade a baabi bia eya nipa bo peso e wasame no wobehwe no abo sprays ahodo e ho empempo ye kasa de Zoom Lion Ghana Limited omdomani achemu e wasante mantemu a omohwe nim kwan se mensni ahodo be eduanan miensa e wo asante mantemu no wobehwe akwakobo spray e wasame e nyina saso ena omo nipa woni wo di djuma be 430 ena sabre waka omo nyina egu montia wo hwe se ento ankosi se afi be kono we no na cheso ma gba pro abo sprays ahodo e wo me ahodo nipa wo se na betimi aboa ama se bio eye mo wan kitinkiti bia wo fa yare bi de brain aye ni mai ho so no eto betimi etwa
eno ma ya de papa ma bojuma no ama hatenwan ahanum de o ma ya de ma boa ma se de na sent ni so wa hanom no
this morning, Zoom Lion people are around, and I've assigned.
Adishima ma ye ni efi ho ade ni achemu e wato mantemu a na nsentam asemba akwa ma ne humne so eye Goldfield mines omudwumedi a omudi e wota kwai no no e wo atoye mantemu na nyame adoma April bosumini da e wo afimpinu ne aduonu nsumu 2027 e wo April mu e na omutumi krata e kromo e ma wodi djuma e wo my Ghana mu wodi ni nyina e baba ne wieye na no e na mpenifo ache se November bosumini no afimpinu ne aduonu mu 2025 and wo tro krata kompanifo nim se mpenifo hwe na won san wo krata na so won renew emfa mom no mudwumedi omudi e wo man no wo be koso atokoso aye mpenifo a kire se bepim sa bere omu tro krata akoye no omonten wo hwe sa so na Ghana de hye bi e kire won adwen e kire se sanse se adwumako no eye South Africa mind de hye de enti e na se mpenifo mpese wo be renew eye sa krata no e de amomo eno nam so e ma se odwani e chemu e wota kwasisi a eye adwumayefo ene won na sebio wodi onjuma e wo Goldfield mines eno no e wota kwa ayeye kire e di petition ma aban penifo se omonhwe na eye omokrata asem aban enhwe no renew e famomo
member. I have not much Goldfield has done for New Atomic community as well as the whole of Takwa Israel. Let's look at the TNA Park. Sanga Bogosu Junction to Daman, from Bodo City Junction to Bogosu Junction. Look at all these things. It was done by Goldfield.
Area Ghana this my na ha ni original area from to breakfast your boni edi nyina ebesi edi ama o hyenenso se ejumeko bi adaroma ne bom echidom ema na wiem be kenkan sem no de ma o kama ejumeko City Base Properties Ghana Limited. City Base ejumeko a woton sase hojo ehun krata sem na Krogen City Base and mekanfo edi ama o Shishon bechi akwan e wonu ngwa barrier woni scan guest house ene din hwanim saso ena wo wan krabata baako e wo afenya tobutu du ho a obehu City Base atena no wo kama na wo so akọ no akọje wasase obetimi ni City Base impendifo din saso e wo ahoma isu 055 1996843 055 1996843 City Base Properties Ghana Limited or see empowering mind unlocking potential Saso and Nanasin Coma First Choice Media College. Say when this wade huno science and training mapa. Ewo my Ghana mudia ope school ebe boa ye pa ama eba ne central adwuma ni ma obe kwadu ye pa ewo mudia First Choice Media College and mekanfo ede ama. Hwehwo so echi akwan ewo ngwa barrier woni eye Mass TV woni eye ene wo abronsai kroma ni tututumika na oba na watene fi ache no fa ne bra na no so emergency tie mapa ewo central adwuma ni obetimi ne First Choice impenifu akasa ewa ahoma isu 0557 515 862 0557 515 862 First Choice Media College na or see empowering mind unlocking potential saso and bulk food and groceries say bibi bia ye di cocoa aye aye di kwemu no obenye bi e di amount say ope eye dark chocolate ope cocoa powder then na ope aye di cocoa aye so there from no mbe sort out aboa ama wapomde hu sem so etumi ejina ne na so ne bulk food empenifo enkasa ewa ahoma so 0558 047 304 0558 047 304 bulk food and groceries ana also there from no sort out say ne be a wapomde hu sem so ebetumi afa ne ntuma pa efra na ha en mejina ede ewia from to rekase boni nyina mede besimi ameje bre beken kan sem no ede ma mumidin ede amansan chiame entwu Boasiako madam nyina se ama mumo ene hwa adehye